Rogers TV, St. John's.
The Newfoundland Hobbyist is sponsored by Mid-Island Motorsports, located in Springdale, Newfoundland. www.edgeproinc.com. By the Sea Inn and Cafe, located in Kings Point. And Outdoor Pros, located in Mount Pearl, Newfoundland.
Good morning, guys. Welcome back to another episode of the Newfoundland Hobbyist. Here with the two bikes this morning. It's a crispy fall morning. Everything's coated in frost. But Dad and I, Dad's here with me this morning, we're heading off for a nice lengthy ride. Probably the longest ride we've ever done.
I think so.
We don't generally do real long rides like that, but we're heading from my hometown of Middle Arm here. Middle Arm is just down in the background. We're heading to Kings Point via trail, like I said, on the bikes. We're riding two Polaris 570s here this morning. Dad actually just got a brand new one, so this will be his first ride on it. Nice way to break it in. Colors out here this morning, as you'll see throughout this episode, just beautiful. The reds and oranges coming out for the fall, just nice. Getting chilly standing here, so we're going to head out the trail, and hopefully we'll do it quick enough that we can have a late breakfast in Kings Point. Oh, that's the shot, buddy. So we're just at the branch here now. We're returning, go out to Kings Point Road. We're over halfway, and it's been beautiful traveling so far. I wanted to stop though and talk about helmet intercom system. This thing has sort of changed the way we ride, or at least made us want to ride a lot more. Now this is the VNet Foam V6 1200, so this is an overseas made, sort of a cheaper, kind of a knockoff version if you will, but it's like the better of the knockoff versions. But this is just a little communication pack with a little wire set up that runs inside. You just have to pull the inside padding off your helmet, and you can see you have a little mic right here, a little earpiece that sits up inside your helmet, so you do not know, like there's nothing that you have to install or plug in your ears or anything like that. You wouldn't know you're wearing it. See that little light blinking there now? That means it's paired with Dad's helmet. And up to 1,200 meters is the rating for these. That's where the 1,200 comes from in the name. Up to 1,200 meters distance between two helmets, you can talk away. And it really is the same as sitting in the living room and talking. It's just an amazing product, and on a ride like this, it's probably going to be a couple, 2-3 hours riding each way today. Me and Dad can just ride along, and we've been chatting the whole ways this morning, just talking away, eh? Just same as you're sitting home in the living room. Dad has one installed on his helmet. It can handle a few more riders as well. But it's just a really nice system to be able to chat. It makes long rides seem shorter, seem more interesting and nice. You can warn each other about like obstacles coming up. Like this morning I came up on a ditch a little bit quick, and I just warned Dad to slow down, give him a little bit of a chance. But it's a beautiful system. I wanted to turn you guys on to the idea in case maybe you hadn't heard of it before. I kind of learned of it from the motorcycle community because I'm involved in that community, but for ATVing, even skidooing, And it is so nice and just makes the day so much more enjoyable.
What you're seeing right here is one of the main motivations for me for getting into riding, whether that be dual sport motorcycles, snowmobiling, or ATVs as we're on here. The views and the different things you get to see are just amazing. After some time spent enjoying the waterfall, all there was left to do was take a quick picture under those beautiful fall colors and head back out the trail. We finally just made it into Kings Point at 12:30 in the afternoon. We're just at Wilson's convenience here now getting gas. We got lost up on the trail. After we turned there by the Gull Pond warm-up shack and come out, we took a wrong turn just after that. We went on back in across the ridge apparently. We made our way after about an hour going around not finding our way, taking several trails coming to dead ends. We went back to the warm-up shack, and luckily a couple fellows we met up with, Adam Matthews here from Kings Point and a couple of his riding buddies, and they pointed us in the right direction. So thankfully we're going to be able to get something to eat. We've had a couple snacks, so we've been putting it off, waiting to have a good dinner at the sponsor, By the Sea Inn and Cafe.
You put in Supreme.
What?
Put in Supreme so we know.
That's on over there.
How
If you haven't visited By the Sea Cafe in Kings Point, Newfoundland, I have to tell you, it is worth your trip. The food has always been excellent. Here today, we're having some steaks. After finishing up our delicious meal, we met up with a viewer of the show just outside the cafe, and then we jumped on the bikes and we're heading back towards home.
Yeah, we're the big gray.
The Newfoundland Hobbyist is sponsored by paulsfinest.com, Noble's Timber Mart with locations in Springdale and Bay Verte, wildmedkits.ca, Robinson's General Store, located in Middle Arm, and ABS Busing, also located in Middle Arm, Newfoundland. I hope you guys are enjoying this week's episode. I hope you don't mind me stepping aside for a minute, coming back to the workshop and showing you guys a little project here. This is the 2014 800 Sportsman that I've purchased since I filmed the ride you're watching just a few weeks ago. Now, I really love this bike, but one thing about these Polaris bikes and these new rack systems is that they don't have a lot of external places to mount things. In the last few weeks, I've also been on several rides where I've wanted my gun with me, my shotgun or my .22, because I've seen lots of grouse around, and I would have loved to have the opportunity, but I really dislike carrying a strapped firearm while I'm riding a motor vehicle. I don't know if any of you have ever done that, but it is so uncomfortable to have that strap moving around, especially if you're riding for a couple hours, to have that strap moving around, the gun's bouncing, digging into your back, it's moving all over the place, you're constantly fixing it. It's just not the best system in my mind. So what I'm looking at mounting here is a set of rhino clamps. Now, I'm sure many of you guys have seen these before, usually mounted to steel tube racks. What these are made by Copeland. You can pick them up at Canadian Tire. I got mine from Amazon for a really good price. These are the Rhino Grip XLs. They're just a simple model with the straps we'll show you guys in a minute. But this is a simple way to hold a firearm to an ATV or a snowmobile, anything like that. I'm going to show you guys how we're going to mount it on a Polaris Sportsman. So what do you get when you purchase this system? First off, you get the main pieces, which are your two rhino clamps. Now, these are all rubber, all molded rubber up here. All these spikes are soft over molded rubber, which is very nice. We'll talk about the base system in a minute. You also get two clamps to go on the other side of whatever you're mounting it to. You get two protectors in case you're mounting these around a bar, so that'll protect the tube rack frame. You get a series of different size nuts and bolts depending on what system you're going to use, with some rubber end bolt protectors. And you also get, and this is a really nice feature in my opinion, you get these rubber elastic straps. What these are for, you can see we have these grooves outside of here. So once you get your firearm in there, you can get these down over on top of your firearm to stop it from coming out. If you've ever slid a firearm down in these, you'll know it's not going to come out anyways, but it is nice to have the strap to keep it kind of pushed down real snug in there. Now, the basis of these rhino grips are made from like a tough molded plastic. You do have an independence though from the top grips, which is nice. It gives you some adjustment. First off, what you have is this little plastic screw nut here, and you can really crank that down without stripping it out. But what you have inside of here, this joint, is a spline, and it allows you to turn. You can see you can angle adjust these and they lock back in. So this doesn't even need to be that tight because the clamps are resting on those splines, of course, but you can angle adjust these clamps, which is really nice if your bases have to be mounted on an angled rack. Now even more from that, these spin adjust as well, so the base, these can actually remove. You can mount these bases, and if you're riding without your firearm, you can actually remove these top grips. Now at first I was wondering if this might be a weak system, but I assure you it's not. What you have right here is kind of a big keeper clip, and that clips in right there. And if you can get the strength, you can pull that keeper clip out, and it removes just like that. And once you have that clip removed, you can see how it works there. It's a nice thick, tough piece of plastic. And once that's out, you can remove your grip from the base, and here's the base you're left with on the bike. So you can see it's not too obtrusive. It wouldn't look horrible or stand out like a sore thumb or anything. But you can see in there, in the bottom of here, we again have that spline system. So that allows you to put this in, turn it until you get the angle you want, lock it down into the splines. Once you put that keeper clip on there, of course this can't separate, and you have a very solid system. It's supported by a lot of plastic on the side as well, so nothing is really resting on the keeper clip. Now since I have so much mounting freedom, I decided to put them on an angle like this, and it seems like they fit pretty well on a flat here because this surface has all kinds of grooves in it. If you have a Sportsman, you know, and if you've tried to mount stuff to it, it's a little bit annoying, but we'll figure it out. The only place we're going to have any gap is under this front corner here, but maybe I'll just add in a couple washers or something so I can still crank it down. Now it's going to be difficult to get it perfect on both sides. What I'll end up doing is I'll just pick a point to measure from and use that as my reference. So this very front corner, it looks like I want 8.5 inches, so I'm just going to mark that. And then I can just run parallel with the side surface, rough out a 1/4 inch or so. Will be close enough for the eye. You can see here how the rack indents right here, but we do have all the other 3 points dead on, so that'll be good enough. But I'll still probably put a couple of washers in there or something. I'm just coming down to that line. You can see that I've marked there. By the way, these silver Sharpies, I highly recommend you pick them up. They're so good for layout, and you often are laying out stuff on black like this. So I'll just lay this here down to my line and give roughly 3/8 of an inch along this side, and I'll just put center dots there. Now Colpin sends 2 sets of bolts, a full long set, and you would use these if you were going around like a rack, because then you have to get around rack tube, which is probably 3/4 or 1 inch tube. I'm just going through that flat plastic, so I can use the short bolts. You also have like anti-vibe or nylon lock nuts there, and then you also have these nice little plastic, sort of rubbery, plasticky end caps that'll go on the ends of the bolts after. That'll be real nice because these end bolts are going to be sticking out inside my box there. So to have those on there will protect anything I have inside from coming up against it, so it won't tear through like a sweater or something if you have it there. Now I'm sure this probably seems like blasphemy to some of you guys, and it is kind of stinging a little bit for me as well, but it's kind of necessary for me to get the bike set up like I want. So I'll do it. I'll deal with any repercussions later. Damage is done. In my opinion, it's not that big of a deal. Worst case, I just have a few little holes. If I don't want the clamps on there anymore, or I don't like them, I can either plug the holes, or I can put just a little small carriage bolt on there painted black with a rubber washer or something on the inside. That just looks fantastic. And if you recall, if you're ever not running the clamps on there, this is as obtrusive as the clamps have to be, just those bases. That is super solid. I really like that. Now all that's left to deal with is decide where we want those Copeland bases to mount. I'll do my little toggles or whatever inside. So the Copeland brand is to the outside, roughly across. Let's just try the gun in there and see if they line up. Our first time laying a firearm in here. Oh yeah, look at that. Let's insert those clips. Ah, super tight fit. That's it, we're done and ready for the trails and maybe a few grouse. It's going to be really nice having this up front, especially where I can keep an eye on the gun. I'll probably get a gun sock as well. I know a friend of mine here in town has a sock over his gun for any like snow or mud or water or anything like that flicking up around. Just keeps your gun nice and clean. It's just a sleeve you just pull off really easily. I hope this little segment helps you out because those rhino grips, or at least mine anyways, didn't come with any instructions, so I hope this is helpful to you. Anyways, back to warmer weather and prettier colors out on the trail. On our way to Kings Point in the morning, we went up Uncle George's Road from Middle Arm and went the long ways around the ridge. On the way home, we took a bit of a shortcut going out Gilbert's Road. Some might know it as Gilbert Sims Road, and then we came down over Rand's Road from there, which is quite a rough and daunting trek down over the side of the ridge, but the footage is second to none, as you're about to see. that is it, guys. A full day riding, 10.5 hours we've been gone now, and quite a few kilometers. Dad's bike, because he's been in the back all day, is buried in dust. Not quite as new and as pretty as when we left, but man, we've had a great day. Just perfect weather. Fall's my favorite season. It's just, couldn't have asked better. We did do quite a bit of detouring and got lost a little bit, but thanks to some of you guys out on the trails, we found our way to have some good steaks at By the Sea Inn and Cafe. I want to give a shout out to Mr. Harold and his family, who we met today up in Kings Point. We stopped by and had a chat. That was fun. Very nice meeting you and your family. Thank you guys for watching this episode. We really appreciate it. A big thank you to the sponsors, including By the Sea Inn and Cafe. If you guys can support any of those sponsors, please do so. As always, make sure you tune in next week to the Newfoundland Hobbyists.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media.